Before anyone asks, yes, I am wearing shorts. I am not naked. I definitely should have done this kind of video ages ago, as it has been long awaited by you guys for a very, very long time. But I just never like gotten around to filming it because I feel like I'm too boring for like these types of videos. That's why I literally never film sit down and talking videos, because I feel like I waffle too much and it's too boring. And if you somehow missed the title to this video, I'm basically going to be answering questions about the BRIT School, which is the school I go to. I know, right? Shocker. If you couldn't tell, that's me being sarcastic because all my videos are literally BRIT School related. Especially now that I've gone through my channel and privated all like the old cringy videos. I'm going to try my hardest to make this video as short as I can and not waffle on too much, but I can't guarantee that's gonna happen. So I'll like timestamp different parts of the video, so if there's like one specific thing you just want to find out, you can just go straight to that part. I would say those timestamps would be in the comments, but YouTube always turns my comments off. Even if I go back and turn them back on, they'll most definitely be in the description. So I actually asked my Instagram followers if they want to know about the BRIT School, what they want me to talk about. So I'm going to be answering some of those, as well as answering some comments I got on the YouTube videos with the comments still on. It's because even though I do reply to those comments, sometimes the comments can be very overcomplicated and might not be as clear as like me actually like spelling it out kind of. So I'm just going to be basically breaking everything down. So the first question I got was, what's the best thing and worst thing about it? The best thing, I feel like the list could go on and on and on, but the main things would be that you get to express yourself. If you don't know, BRIT, you don't have to wear uniform. You get to wear your own clothes and makeup and jewellery, dye your hair, all of that, which is very different to a lot of other secondary schools, especially my old one before BRIT. So I definitely feel like the chance to express yourself just daily and not just in your work, in the way you dress and portray yourself, is probably one of my favourite things about BRIT. Because I don't know about you guys, but personally to me, I can tell a lot from a person from what they're wearing. So it does help people to like make friends as well, because they're like, oh, that person's style is very similar to mine, instead of everyone being identical in the exact same uniform. The worst thing, even though it's not terrible, I feel like the fact that there is no uniform could also be quite annoying. I know a lot of my friends and myself struggle with picking out outfits for each day of the week. Like, you kind of stress about, oh, like, I've already worn that this week, I can't wear it again. So I would say that's the only pro about having a uniform, like you know what you're wearing. And another thing that could be considered as quite annoying is the travel to and from school, like depending on the person. Because BRIT like is open to accepting people from loads of different places around England. Like some people come from Brighton, some people come from the countryside, and I come from the city, so it's not as bad. Even my journey takes quite a while. So I feel like the travel for some people, especially early in the morning, can be quite annoying or difficult. But then again, it's not that bad and it's definitely worth like the travel. What is the canteen food like? So from my experience, I can definitely say BRIT school food is like 10 times better from like my old school food. But don't quote me on that because I can't judge like other secondary schools. So like starting off with drinks, like the typical UK secondary school, they would have like Radnor Fizz and like the odd like branded drink. But at BRIT they have like Fanta, Coke, Sprite, 7-Up, all these different like branded drinks. And I know this is a definite step up from my old school. They have like branded chocolate, so like Cadbury's, and like branded sweets, Skittles and Starburst, and branded like crisps, so like Walkers and all of that. And in terms of lunch food, they have a cold food section, so you get a sandwich or like a fruit pot, and then they also have like hot food, and that changes depending on the day of the week. Daily, they usually do have like pizza, chips, all of that. And let me just say, the pizzas and the hot food is actually really nice. They have a meat option and a vegan vegetarian option always. And they have like pasta, curry, fish and chips, burgers, and on top of that they have this whole section just for like coffees and hot chocolate. There's 2 cafeterias, the main one which is much more bigger and a smaller one, and they also have a few vending machines as well if you just want to get like a snack. How is it different from when you first started to now? First of all, for me as a person, I've definitely grown a lot more confident from when I first started BRIT to now. Even before my life at BRIT, I'm definitely a much more confident person now. BRIT definitely helped me find a better version of myself as well, as cheesy as that might sound. But as a school, I feel like Corona has definitely changed a lot. My last full year of like school was in year 9, and that was at my old secondary school. So I haven't even had a full year at BRIT yet. I'm hoping that changes for sixth form. So I started in year 10 and I'm now in year 11. Corona and online school definitely affected it and changed it. What is the whole application and audition process like for each strand? So I can't talk for each and every strand because from my time at BRIT I've only auditioned and applied for 2 strands, because in year 10 I got in for film and I recently auditioned again for sixth form and got in for theatre, and they're definitely 2 very diverse strands. One's behind the scenes, one is like on stage. But then I have knowledge from my friends that are in other strands. Also, Key Stage 4 and sixth form strands are different. So Key Stage 4, I'll put a list of the strands here if I can find them. And then sixth form is all of those strands plus a few more. And judging from my own experience, I would assume that every like application audition process is quite similar. There would be an application date, and I know that's different for creative art strands and performing art strands. Usually the performing art strands, their deadline is much more like before the creative arts one. And with that deadline, you have to fill in an application form and get it sent in before the deadline. I would say definitely put all your effort into the application form. Obviously save a bit more effort for the interview and audition and all of that. But the interviewers and teachers definitely judge you the most on your application form, because that's how they figured out how well you'd be suited for that strand. So on the application form you fill in general information like your name, address, all of that, and then there's 4 questions you need to answer, and that's where you put all your knowledge for that strand in. Go over it multiple times, make sure there's no mistakes, grammar's all correct, you've said everything you want to say. If they like application form, they will invite you to an interview, audition, workshop depending on your strand. So for film and a lot of other behind the scenes strands, you get asked to come in for an interview, but recently it's been done virtually because of Corona, and a workshop, and you also have to bring along your portfolios. And for performing arts strands, you get invited into an interview, audition, and sometimes it's a workshop depending on the situation. So for film, all I really needed to do was prepare a portfolio, participate in the workshop and participate in the interview. For theatre, I got given a list of Shakespeare monologues and had to pick one from there and learn it, and then also had to find a monologue of my own that I liked, like from the internet, and then you perform them in your audition. And then usually the interview is in the same room with the same people. And obviously it's different for other strands. Like for musical theatre, I believe you have to prepare a monologue, prepare a song, and then you get taught this dance and you have to perform that dance. What is the best options to pick in your opinion? So once again, I can't really judge off of all options, because for Key Stage 4 you only get the choice of 3 GCSE options, and it's definitely much more different than other secondary schools. For example, you don't have to pick geography or history, you don't have to pick a language, you don't have to do PE. It's very like more laid back, I would say. So the GCSEs you would automatically do would be your strand, English, maths and science, and then like I said you get a choice of 3 GCSEs. I chose dance, drama and sociology. There's so many other more options like PE, textiles, photography, and this topic actually like jumps into another question I get asked a lot. Can you pick more than one strand? So no, you can't pick more than one strand. The strand you apply for, whether that's theatre, art, dance, music, is the only strand you're going to do. However, this is what I love about like options at BRIT. Say if you love to both sing and act, but you only want to apply for theatre, but you still want to study music. You can pick music as a GCSE option, and the course would be very similar to the music strand. So no, you can't pick more than one strand, but it's more than likely you could pick it as a GCSE option. What is the hardest strand workload wise? So once again, I can't talk for every strand, but judging off of my strand and what I've heard from my friends in other strands and the amount of work I get in my GCSE options, I don't actually know. Obviously you can't compare strands and the type of work they get because every strand is very different and they all study different things. However, there are strands that do get a lot of work. For example, with theatre, from what I've heard and what I know from my drama GCSE, even though they're not exactly the same, it's 60% theory and 40% practical. So 60% written work and 40% like performing and devising and all of that. And once again, even though it's not exactly the same to theatre strand, drama GCSE, the amount of stress I've had over that one subject. But then with like film, for example, I don't believe there's actually like a set percentage of theory to practical. It's kind of like a mix. So yeah, I can't really compare because I don't really know. What is the hardest strand to get into? Once again, I can't really compare, but from what I've heard, a lot of people have said musical theatre, which I can understand because it's singing, dancing and acting. You have to prepare a song, prepare a monologue and perform a dance that you just learn on the spot. I mean, at least that's what I heard. But if you're applying for musical theatre, don't let me like stop you, because what do I know? I don't know anything. I'm just going off like what people have told me and what I've heard. What is my weekly timetable like? So once again, it's very different for other people because we don't all study the same subjects, and there are like two sides. So there's north side and south side. I'm south side, I think. Why do I not know that? That's so bad. But because the timetables are different for each person, I'm gonna like break it down like roughly. So in the morning you'd go straight to your first lesson, whether that be English, science, and get registered there. Then you either have break or you have one more lesson and then break. After break you have 1 to 2 lessons and then have lunch, and then after lunch you have form tutor. And on Mondays, Tuesday, Thursdays you would have one more lesson and then home. On Wednesdays you would have an extended tutor time where usually we would do like assemblies or talk about a subject, whatever. And then on Fridays we don't actually even have registration. Our home time is lunch, so you can decide if you want to have lunch at school or just go straight home. How far do I travel to get to BRIT? It takes me about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. And I take a bus and 2 trains. That's all the transport I take to and from school. But the main train journey isn't even that bad. It's like 20 to 25 minutes. It's just the whole journey put together that's quite long. This was a question that I got a lot. What's the school atmosphere like? I feel like a lot of people would assume that it's very competitive, and I'm not gonna lie, during the whole audition process and application process and like the first day, it was quite competitive. And even then, during strands it can still be quite competitive. So yeah, it can be quite competitive, but like hardly ever. But other than that, it's just like a very comfortable, accepting atmosphere. There's a certain room for people who are struggling. So for example, if you don't want to go into lessons because you're feeling anxious or a certain negative way, you can sit in this room and you could bring a friend, or you could just go on your phone, or you could speak to a teacher, you could meditate. They do counselling as well. There's also a room that you can go to for feeling angry, and they have a punch bag. Best memory at BRIT so far. We have these assemblies. So for Pride History Month we did a Pride Assembly. For Black History Month we did a Black History Assembly, and everyone could participate. You can audition, do your own work, sing, dance, do a monologue. And obviously when we were in schools and we could do assemblies, the last Pride and Black History Assembly was so fun because at the end of the assembly everybody got on stage and just danced, and there was this huge mosh pit. And definitely also going to like shows. Every year BRIT put on a drag show and students can audition. So yeah, definitely like assemblies and shows. What's your favourite thing to do when you have free time at the BRIT school? So I would definitely say that Key Stage 4 don't get as much free time as sixth form. Not like workload wise, like the amount of time spent in school. So Key Stage 4, they're in school from 9 to 3:45 most days. Whereas in sixth form, depending if you're only doing your strand, because in sixth form your strand does count as 3 A levels, but you can study English and maths as another A level on top of that if you want. The sixth form at BRIT don't spend that much time in the school itself. So what I'm trying to say is I don't get much free time, only at breaks and lunch. I spend most of my time eating. Thank you for watching this video. I hope I didn't go on for too long. Bye guys.